आप ही की तरफ देख रहा था। माननीय श्री संजय कुमार झा जी, further discussion on the motion for consideration of the protection of interest in aircraft objects bill 2025 moved by Shri K. Ram Mohan Naidu on 20th March 2025.
आदरणीय उपसभापति महोदय, ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट बिल है, एयरक्राफ्ट ऑब्जेक्ट बिल 2025। वो इसलिए भी कि इतना सारा एयरलाइन है कंट्री में, एक परसेप्शन है कि सब लोग जहाज खरीद के ही लाते हैं। करीब 90% जो एयरक्राफ्ट है वो लीज पे लिया जाता है। इसका मतलब है कि एयरलाइंस के पास अपने अधिकांश विमान नहीं होते, वे इन विमानों को लीज कंपनियों से किराए पर लेती है, जो अक्सर आयरलैंड, हांगकांग, दुबई और सिंगापुर जैसे देशों से ये लीज पे लेके आते हैं एयरक्राफ्ट को। और वो सही भी है, राइट रीजन भी है। हवाई जहाज खरीदना एक बहुत बड़ा वित्तीय निर्णय है। यह एयरलाइंस के लिए एक चैलेंजिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट होता है, जैसे कि एयरबस 320, बोइंग 777, 787 और 737 की कीमत 700 करोड़ से 1100 करोड़ रुपया तक होता है। बहुत सारा एयरलाइन यहाँ बंद हो गया, स्टार्ट किया और फिर जाकर के बंद हो गया। अब तो 2 ही एयरलाइन है मेजर, 60% से ज्यादा शेयर एक एयरलाइन के पास है और एक एयर इंडिया है इंडिगो के अलावा। लार्जली वही पूरा मार्केट को लेके चलता है और लीजिंग एयरलाइन के लिए एक बेहतर विकल्प होता है, क्योंकि इसमें प्राइमरी इन्वेस्टमेंट से बचने में सहायता होता है। और जो गिफ्ट सिटी विमान लीजिंग कंपनियों को 10 साल की कर की छूट देती है, जब गिफ्ट सिटी गुजरात में आया है। और डीजीसीए ने गिफ्ट सिटी में रजिस्टर्ड लीजरों को विमान लीज पर लेने या इंपोर्ट करने से पहले प्रायर अप्रूवल देने में से छूट दी है। टू सम एक्सटेंट दिस हैज वर्कड सिंस 2019। मोर देन 26 एयरक्राफ्ट लीजिंग entities, including some global players, have been registered there. However, only a handful of these established entities have actually engaged in leasing transaction. लेकिन अब सरकार इस स्थिति को बदलना चाहती है ताकि भारत का विमान लीजिंग क्षेत्र वैश्विक मानकों का अनुरूप और निवेशकों के लिए आकर्षक बन सके। This bill gives lessors something they have wanted for years. लीजरों का सबसे बड़ा डर ये था कि अगर वो किसी एयरलाइन को विमान किराए पर देते हैं, वो एयरलाइन दिवालिया हो जाए, तो बहुत लंबा टाइम लग जाता था उनको उसको ये करने के लिए, उसको वहां से निकालने के लिए और अपने विमान को वापस पाने के लिए। वो लीगल बैटल बड़ा लंबा होता था, जैसा पहले किंगफिशर, जेट एयरवेज और गो फर्स्ट एयरलाइन के मामले में हुआ। लीजर अपने विमानों को वापस नहीं ले पाए और इंसॉल्वेंसी ट्रिब्यूनल ने, हम लोग देखते थे एयरपोर्ट पर लाइन से लगा हुआ प्लेन खड़ा रहता था वहां पर, क्योंकि इसलिए कि वो ट्रिब्यूनल में जाते थे और लंबे समय तक वो फैसला नहीं होता था। इस नए विधेयक आने से अगर कोई एयरलाइन डिफॉल्ट करती है तो लीजर केवल 2 महीने में भीतर अपना विमान वापस ले सकता है। इसके अलावा किसी भी विवाद को ट्रिब्यूनल नहीं जाकर के सीधे हाई कोर्ट भी जा सकता है। इसके अलावा एक मुझे एक जो इम्पोर्टेंट इसमें इशू रह गया था, वो कि लीजिंग के मदद से एयरलाइन एक बड़े कर्ज से बचती है और लीजिंग व्यापार का एक वैश्विक आकार बहुत बड़ा हो गया। जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि इंडिया में भी 90% प्लेन लीज पे लिया हुआ है, खरीदा कम गया है। 6 साल पहले 2019 के बजट भाषण में फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर ने विमान लीजिंग उद्योग में प्रवेश की घोषणा की थी और यह कदम भारतीय एयरलाइन के लिए एक बेहतरीन अवसर है। अब उन्हें विमान लीज पर लेने के लिए दूसरों देशों पर निर्भर नहीं रहना पड़ेगा, जैसे कि 3-4 जो कंट्री है जहां से लीज लेके आते हैं। अब भारत में भी एयरलाइन अपने घरेलू विमान लीजिंग बाजार से विमान ले सकती है, जिससे उन्हें लागत में कमी और अधिक स्वतंत्रता मिलेगी। इसके अलावा जो नए विधेयक हैं, अगर इस वजह से, क्योंकि यहाँ पर ये फैसिलिटी नहीं था, इसलिए पिछले साल यूनाइटेड किंगडम के स्थित है एविएशन वर्किंग ग्रुप AWG ने लीजरों के लिए कम सुरक्षा के कारण भारत की रेटिंग को हाई रिस्क में डाउनग्रेड कर दिया था। इसका असर वह हुआ कि भारतीय एयरलाइन के लिए लीजिंग करना बहुत महंगा हो गया और अब विधेयक लागू होने के साथ ये विधेयक जो AWG ने भारत की रेटिंग को मीडियम रिस्क जुरिडिक्शन में फिर से अपग्रेड कर दिया है और यह विधेयक कानून बन गया तो भारत की रेटिंग और भी बेटर हो जाएगी। लेकिन एक बात मैं मंत्री जी से जरूर कहना चाहूंगा कि these global leasing companies survive on the support of financial institution. For instance, European banks support leasing business in Ireland. Similarly, the government-owned Temasek Holding and Singaporean banks support leasing from Singapore. भारत में इस तरह का कोई प्रावधान नहीं है क्योंकि बैंक विमानन से जुड़ी किसी भी चीज को लोन देने में रिलक्टेंट रहता है। इसका परिणाम यह है कि गिफ्ट सिटी में काम कर रहे लेसर को भी विदेशी फंडिंग पर निर्भर करना पड़ता है। तो जरूर इस पर विचार करना चाहिए कि फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन अगर सपोर्ट कर सकता है तो। और 1 मिनट में, क्योंकि ये तो टेक्निकल बात जो आप बिल ला रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं बिहार से आता हूं और 3 इशू आपका वहां बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है। एक, इस बार के बजट में ही आदरणीय वित्त मंत्री जी ने एक ग्रीनफील्ड इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट पटना के पास अनाउंस किया है, तो उसको जो भी उसका लोकेशन है उसको तत्काल अगर फाइनल करके उस पर काम शुरू हो जाता तो बिहार में कोई भी आदरणीय उपसभापति महोदय कोई भी इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट नहीं है भी गया में, तो उस हिसाब से फंक्शनल नहीं है। पटना के पास तो है ही नहीं, उतना बड़ा रनवे ही नहीं है। एक ये था, एक दरभंगा और पूर्णिया दोनों एयरपोर्ट एक साथ अनाउंस हुआ। दरभंगा फंक्शनल है, पूर्णिया अभी तक फंक्शनल नहीं हो पाया, तो वो भी एक फंक्शनल हो जाता। एंड लास्ट, दरभंगा एयरपोर्ट एक सक्सेसफुल एयरपोर्ट है। हम लोगों ने, मुख्यमंत्री जी ने वहां और लैंड एक्वायर करने का काम शुरू कर दिया है और वहां से प्रपोजल भी आया है चीफ सेक्रेटरी से कि उसको इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट बना देने के लिए दरभंगा को, तो उस पर भी अगर कोई विचार करके फाइनल कर देते तो ठीक रहता। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
श्री सदानंद महालू, सेठ तानवड़े।
Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir. I stand before this House today to extend my support for the protection of interest in Aircraft Bill, Object Bill 2025, and to emphasize its significance of India's aviation sector. Sir, this bill seeks to provide legal backing to the Convention of International Interest in Mobile Equipment, Cape Town Convention 2001, and its protocol on matters specific to aircraft equipment, ensuring their enforceability within our jurisdiction. Sir, here I would like to add that while India signed the Cape Town Convention in 2008, the absence of ratification has so far prevented its provision from being legally binding. Therefore, the introduction of this bill will legally enact the Cape Town Convention in India. It marks a crucial step toward addressing this gap, strengthening investor confidence, and enhancing India's global standing in the aviation sector. As one of the world's largest growing aviation markets, India's air travel sector has experienced a rapid increasing growth with an estimated market size of $13.89 billion in 2024, which is expected to reach $26.8 billion by 2030. This incredible growth, aircraft leasing has emerged as an important aspect of the Indian aviation industry. It is a practice in which the airlines and aviation operators rent aircraft from leasing companies rather than purchasing them. Till date, India does not have any specific law dealing with aircraft leasing and financing of airplanes, which may involve different countries. With this new law, airplanes will get in competitive rate to airlines and aviation operation. Currently, lessors face higher risk in India due to uncertainties in repossession rights in case an airline defaults on payment. The risk forces lessors to change a higher risk premium, extra cost to cover potential losses, making leasing more expensive for Indian airlines. These higher leasing costs are ultimately passed on to passengers in the form of higher airfares. So air tickets become more costly passengers has to pay more fares. Therefore, if the bill is passed in the parliament into an act, will ratify the Cape Town Convention, thereby automatically guaranteeing the rights of lessor to repossess their leased equipment, such as airframes, aircraft engines, and helicopters. This will bring down the cost of risk premium. Sir, this bill seeks to enhance the leasing framework in India in power with international standard. And through this, the legislation is expected to lower cost, improve accessibility to air travel, and attract investment as India anticipates a surge in aircraft acquisition. Over 1,000 new craft by the end of this decade. This will further make air travel more affordable for the people of our country. Sir, as a representative from Goa, a tourist destination, which sees increasing footfall each year, I cannot overstate the importance of the bill. During peak season, we all know that airfares skyrocket, making travel unaffordable not only for tourists, but also for Goa's local residents who rely on air travel for work, medical needs, education, and family visits. I believe, sir, the high cost of leasing aircraft, along with limited availability, directly contributes to these inflated airfares. Sir, I am an essential aspect of this bill is provision for financial transparency and accountability. The proposed legislation mandate that debtors must maintain and submit records of dues related to the ownership or use an aircraft or aircraft object to the Directorate General of Civil Aviation. This requirement will ensure that leasing transactions remain transparent, preventing dispute over unpaid dues and fostering greater confidence among lessors, creditors, and regulatory bodies. Sir, after 2014, after Modi government came to power, the civil aviation has changed more development in civil aviation. Airports अगर हम देखें तो the total number of airports in India 74 2014 से पहले थे, अभी 159 एयरपोर्ट पूरा देश में बने हैं. हमारा गोवा इज वेरी स्मॉल विद अ पॉपुलेशन ऑफ अराउंड 16-17 lakhs. गोवा में 2 एयरपोर्ट है, नॉर्थ गोवा में अलग है, साउथ गोवा में भी अलग है. पैसेंजर अगर ग्रोथ हम देखें तो पैसेंजर ड्यूरिंग अप टू जनवरी 2024 टू December 2024, 161 million as against 152 million during the previous year. That is a growth of 6.1 million%. Total aircraft for scheduled operation has increased from 400 in 2014 to 836 as on 28 to 2025. Regional Connectivity Service, that is RCS Udan, Uda Desh Ka Nagrik. Air travel becomes more accessible to people, connecting 88 airlines, including 13 helicopters and 2 water aerodrome. More than 148.62 lakhs people has availed benefit of Udan scheme since its inception. कृषि में उड़ान में अगर देखें तो जो टोटल एग्रीकल्चर जो प्रोडक्शन जो वेस्ट होता है, इसके लिए कृषि उद्यान के माध्यम से ये फैसिलिटी एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए की है और उसका भी फायदा देश के फार्मर के लिए हो रहा है. ऑपरेशन गंगा के माध्यम से हमने देखा कि जब यूक्रेन का युद्ध हुआ तो 22,500 इंडियंस नेशनल were safely rescued from Ukraine by operating 90 evacuation flights from 1st February 2022 to 11th March 2022. अगर डिगी यात्रा में हम देखें तो फेशियल रिकॉग्निशन टेक्नोलॉजी, इस माध्यम से any traveler may pass through various checkpoints of the airport through paperless and contactless processing using facial features to establish the identity. और देश के 24 एयरपोर्ट्स पे ये फैसिलिटी उपलब्ध की है. मुझे गर्व है कि गोवा का हमारा जो मोपा इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट है वो एयरपोर्ट पे भी ये फैसिलिटी दी गई है. लीजिंग ऑफ एयरक्राफ्ट हमने देखा तो विद द एनेबल्स इन प्लेस फ्रॉम जीरो बेज इन 2014 as of 31st December 2024, 33 aircraft leasing entities have registered in GIFT IFSC for undertaking aircraft leasing business. इसमें कार्गो का अगर हम देखें, कार्गो में भी काफी सुधार और ज्यादा बिजनेस जो है वो कार्गो में भी हो रहा है. इंडिया री-इलेक्शन ICAO काउंसिल में जो इंडिया ड्यूरिंग 41st जनरल असेंबली ऑफ ICAO, इंडिया हैज बीन री-इलेक्टेड to the ICAO Council 2022-25 under Part 2, comprising of countries which make the largest contribution to the provision of facilities for international civil air navigation. Ease of doing, जो भारतीय वायुयान विधेयक पास होने के बाद ये रिफॉर्म हुआ है, लेजिस्लेचर रिफॉर्म होने हुआ है और मॉडर्नाइजिंग इंडियाज एविएशन सेक्टर में भी काफी सुधार हुआ है। और इसके लिए अगर हम देखें सर कि ये बिल जो है, ये बिल इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिल, इसके लिए मैं हमारे मंत्री जी को भी अभिनंदन करता हूँ और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी धन्यवाद देता हूँ। और सर, ऑल ऑफ दिस टेल अस हाउ meritorious this bill is. It will provide the much needed statutory framework to deal with the legal obstacles in the event of insolvency of an airline company, as well as make aviation financing and leasing transactions simpler and certain. It will further improve contract and enforceability and provide the creditors, lessors, with a way out to either to take back the aircraft object or have their dues paid. Therefore, I support the bill of the Aircraft Object 2025. Thank you, sir.
धन्यवाद। श्री संतोष कुमार P.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir. Sir, since we are a signatory to an important international convention, we have to follow the same and we have to implement it in our country. And we have to protect the interests of passengers, creditors, and all those stakeholders related to the industry. Sir, I take this opportunity to raise a few questions, queries through you, sir, to the minister. The first thing is that do we have any data related to the total credits of Indian investors? I mean banks and other financial institutions. Now we are talking about an international obligation. Yes, of course, we have to implement the same. But the point is that we know one gentleman who was a member of this August House, who came to the House with the support of a former Prime Minister and who was the leader of that party for some time. Later on, he looted our country and its people, and now somewhere in London. People like Malia and others are there. So what about the liability created by these people? Are we going to solve this? When we talk about international issues and international creditors, are we in a position to help our banks to regain its own money? It's a very serious issue. So my request is that we have to reconsider the criteria, because people will come and offer that we are ready to offer airline business, and the government is allowing without understanding their capacity. Then later on, we have to pay the price for it. So please consider this particular point. So secondly, Civil Aviation Ministry is having a very meager amount as budget allocation comparing other ministries. So now the Civil Aviation Minister Department Director General of this aviation will function more. There are many duties assigned to him. So do you think that with this limited amount, performance is proper, you can perform proper? I don't think so. So we need to enhance the budgetary allocation also. Otherwise, the entire area is left for private players only. Airline routes, price, everything as suggested by pointed out to many speakers, it's under the control of private players only. The aviation ministry is in a way a mute spectator. So it cannot dictate any company. For example, now when we talk about the plight of the passengers, I fear tomorrow the private airlines may charge us for even using washrooms. Now they're charging for seats. Tomorrow there is every chance of taking money from us for using washrooms. So this is the sorry state of affairs of the poor passengers. So how you are going to tackle these types of issues? When we all are in agreement of implementing the international convention, we have to take care of this. Finally, sir, whenever we people from Kerala stand up to talk on this Civil Aviation Ministry, the minister thinks that they will raise the issues related to Kannur International Airport. I don't want to talk much about that. So many people, so many organizations, so many politicians already pointed out the issues related to Kannur International Airport. It's public money, people's money. So political consideration should not be there. We have every right to get it. So please give this point of call status to Kannur International Airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Sri Babu Ram Nishad. Sri Babu Ram Nishad. Anupasthit. Sri A. Rahim.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the bill seeks to provide a legal framework for protecting the rights of lessors and financiers in aircraft transactions. However, this bill should be discussed in the broader perspective of how it affects the lives of common people. Sir, the union government has already opened the Indian aviation sector to Indian corporates. My colleague, Comrade P. Santosh Kumar, already mentioned the same here. Now, through this bill, it is further opening the doors for international corporates as well, sir. That is my concern. The minister must clarify how this bill is going to benefit the common people. Air travel is becoming increasingly inaccessible for the ordinary citizens. That is my concern. That is not only my concern. So many of my colleagues already mentioned the same concern in this house. A study by Airports Council International, ACI, reveals that India has recorded the second highest increase in domestic airfares in the Asia Pacific and West Asian regions. So, what the take of the government in this regard? See, 43% of rising in terms of fare, according to this report. Can you imagine the plight of expatriates in the Gulf region? As you know that we are representing Kerala, a lot of our brothers and sisters have been working over there. Actually, can you imagine the plight of those NRIs? They work there throughout the year and only occasionally get a leave, sir. This is yesterday was the Eid day, the Holy Ramadan day, the Eid day, even in Onam, and so many other events. In connection with those events, they can come to their homeland, come back to their homeland. But unfortunately, the NRAs, the Pravasis can't come even yet they get the leave. Even they get the leaves, they can't come due to the exorbitant hike of the travel fare. So, Comrade Santosh already mentioned here, what is the role of the union government? Sir, just a minute, sir. I have time. Sir, can you imagine the plight of these passengers? Another one thing is that the government is making laws that favor of corporates, but where are the policies that protect the interest of common citizens? Sir, I would like to flag just a minute, sir. Flag an important report of Department Later Standing Committee, 356th Department of Standing Committee, Transport, Tourism and Culture, recommended measures to control airfare and make air travel accessible to the common man. What is the government role? What is the government take? Then another one thing is that regarding the Kannur Airport, International Airport, this is a burning issue from the Kerala. So, you given the point of call status to Mopa Airport in Goa, which is a non-metro airport. But all infrastructure is there, but even though they did not give the point of call status for Kannur International Airport.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Honorable Minister, please look into
Haris
it.
Viran.
Please.
Sri Haris Viran.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir. Sir, this legislation is a very necessary legislation. I agree to that fact. It will bring clarity for the international lessors and all as to if there is a default, what is to be done. But let us understand that this particular legislation has been brought about not because of any foresight, but because under the pressure of crisis, triggered by the insolvency of a lot of airlines, the latest being the Go First Airlines, plus the global downgrade of India's aviation leasing environment. Now, sir, I would like, through you, sir, the Honorable Minister, to particularly note 2 points. First point is, sir, as per Section 9 of the bill, Section 9 states that in case of an inconsistency between a provision of this Act and any other law for the time being in force, the provisions of this Act shall prevail to the extent of such inconsistency. Now, sir, this bill, in fact, has been brought about because of certain provisions of the IBC, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Because once there is a insolvency and bankruptcy court proceedings, then a moratorium creeps in. And once the moratorium is there, you won't be able to take your machines out. Now, but problem is about the IBC code. There is a provision under the IBC code, Section 238. Section 238 of the IBC code says, the provisions of this code shall have effect, notwithstanding anything inconsistent therewith contained in any other law for the time being in force, or any instrument having effect by virtue of any such law. So IBC code says, notwithstanding any other law, the IBC will prevail. Our law, Section 9 in the present bill states that notwithstanding any other law, our law will prevail. Now, our law has been brought in because of the provisions of the IBC. Therefore, I think there is some inconsistency between the provisions of our bill and the IBC. My suggestion will be that you can incorporate in Section 9 of our bill that notwithstanding anything contained in IBC specifically, so that this particular inconsistency you can get over. That is my suggestion. To the Honorable Minister. Now, sir, Section 9(3) of the bill, it preserves India's sovereign right to arrest or detain an aircraft, which is a very welcome change. But I urge the government to clarify how in practice this right will be exercised in the face of aggressive international enforcement by lessors. While Indian public sector dues and the claims of airport operators and employees receive equal priority and swift resolution, or will they be left struggling while aircraft are swiftly deregistered and removed from Indian soil? Sir, this particular legislation is in fact for the purpose for the airline industry to prosper. Now, for the airline industry to prosper, our airports also will have to prosper. Sir, in Kerala, there are 2 airports. One is the Calicut airport, sir. Now, it is a time for the Hajj pilgrims to go for Hajj. The difference between the Calicut International Airport and Kannur, which is just 80 kilometers, is 40,000 rupees. You are charging 40,000 more from the Calicut Airport. Calicut Airport is the place where you have the Hajj embarkation point, Hajj terminal. Just 30 seconds, sir. Just 30 seconds. Hajj terminal, everything. Now, this particular inconsistency is because you are not allowing the wide-bodied aircrafts to land in Calicut Airport. So also the problem with the Kannur Airport is that you can land wide-bodied aircraft. The problem is that you don't give point of call status over there. So if you want the airline industry to prosper over there, along with these legislations, I beseech the Honorable Minister through you, sir, that these measures also be taken. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sri Ravi Chandra Vaddi Raju.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Chairman, sir.
Telugu mein,
Telugu, sir.
will speak in Telugu.
Sir, the protection of interest in aircraft object bill 2025 మీద మాట్లాడే అవకాశం ఇచ్చినందుకు ధన్యవాదాలు సార్. ఈ బిల్లు భారతదేశ విమానయాన రంగాన్ని మరింత బలోపేతం చేయగల సామర్థ్యం కలిగిన ఒక కీలకమైన చట్టపరమైన సంస్కరణ అని అభిప్రాయపడుతున్నాను. ఇది కేవలం చట్టపరమైన మార్పు మాత్రమే కాదు, భారతదేశాన్ని అంతర్జాతీయ స్థాయిలో విమానయాన పరిశ్రమలో నాయకత్వం వహించేలా చేసే ఒక దిశగా తీసుకున్న కీలకమైన చర్యగా అభిప్రాయపడుతున్నాను. ఈ బిల్లు భారతదేశ విమానయాన పరిశ్రమ భవిష్యత్తును రక్షించడం, అంతర్జాతీయ పెట్టుబడిదారుల నమ్మకాన్ని పెంచడం, భారతీయులకు విమానయానాన్ని మరింత అందుబాటులోకి తేవడం అనే లక్ష్యాలను సాధించేందుకు సహాయపడుతుందని పూర్తిగా నమ్ముతున్నాను. భారతదేశ విమానయాన రంగ ప్రస్తుత పరిస్థితి గురించి ఒకసారి సభ దృష్టికి తీసుకురావాలని అనుకుంటున్నాను. గత సంవత్సరం సుమారు 376.43 మిలియన్ల ప్రయాణికులు భారతదేశం మీద ప్రయాణించారు. 2030 నాటికి భారత్, అమెరికా మరియు చైనా తర్వాత ప్రపంచంలో 3వ అతిపెద్ద విమానయాన మార్కెట్గా మారే అవకాశం ఉందని నా అభిప్రాయం. ఇప్పటికే ఇండిగో, ఎయిర్ ఇండియా వంటి ఎయిర్లైన్స్ 1000కి పైగా కొత్త విమానాల కోసం ఆర్డర్లు ఇచ్చాయి. అలాగే విమానాశ్రయాల సంఖ్య 153 నుంచి 350కి పెరిగే అవకాశం ఉంది. ఇది గొప్ప విజయంగా సాధించినట్టుగా భావిస్తున్నాను. ఈ చర్య చేస్తున్నటువంటి ఈ శాఖ మంత్రి గారికి నేను అభినందనలు తెలియజేసుకుంటూ, తెలంగాణకు సంబంధించినటువంటి ముఖ్యమైన అంశం, హైదరాబాద్లో రాజీవ్ గాంధీ అంతర్జాతీయ విమానాశ్రయం నుంచి ప్రధాన కేంద్రం అది. హైదరాబాద్ అయినప్పటికీ అమెరికాకు నేరుగా ఎలాంటి విమానాలు లేవు. 2023-24 ఆర్థిక సంవత్సరంలో 10.2 లక్షల మంది ప్రయాణికులు హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి అమెరికాకు ప్రయాణించారు. 40% మంది ఢిల్లీ నుంచి అమెరికాకు ప్రయాణించే ప్రయాణికులు తెలంగాణ మరియు ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ వాళ్ళే. కానీ 90% ఆక్రమణతో నడిచిన షికాగో, హైదరాబాద్ నేరుగా విమాన సేవలు రద్దు చేయబడ్డాయి. కాబట్టి హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి నేను మీ ద్వారా మంత్రి వారిని అడుగుతున్నాను. హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి నేరుగా న్యూయార్క్, షికాగో, డల్లాస్, శాన్ ఫ్రాన్సిస్కో వంటి నగరాలకు నేరుగా విమాన సర్వీసులను పునరుద్ధరించాలని చెప్పేసి మంత్రి గారిని కోరుతున్నాను. ఇంకా తెలంగాణలో ఇప్పటికే గౌరవనీయులు మంత్రివర్యులు మాకు వరంగల్ ఎప్పుడో పాత 70 నుంచి 80లో నడిచినటువంటి విమానాశ్రయాన్ని మరి పునరుద్ధరించినందుకు గౌరవ మంత్రివర్యులు రామ్మోహన్ నాయుడు గారికి మా బీఆర్ఎస్ పార్టీ తరఫున ధన్యవాదాలు తెలుపుకుంటూ, ఇప్పుడు ఇంకా ఒకటి మాకు కావాల్సింది ఏంటంటే భద్రాద్రి కొత్తగూడెం గ్రీన్ఫీల్డ్ ఎయిర్పోర్ట్, తర్వాత జక్రాన్పల్లి కూడా ల్యాండ్ సేకరించి రెడీగా ఉన్నది. రామగుండం కూడా అట్లాగే ఆదిలాబాద్ ప్రత్యేకంగా వీటికి విమానాశ్రయాలు ఏర్పాటు కావాలని చెప్పేసి మేము 10 ఏళ్ల నుంచి గౌరవనీయుల బీఆర్ఎస్ పార్టీ కేసీఆర్ గారి ఆధ్వర్యంలో కొట్లాడుతూనే ఉన్నాం, అడుగుతూనే ఉన్నాం. ఇవన్నీ తెలుగు తెలిసినటువంటి మంత్రి, మా అందరికీ తెలిసినటువంటి సుపరిచితులైన రామ్మోహన్ నాయుడు గారు ప్రత్యేకంగా రిక్వెస్ట్ చేసి చెప్పేది ఏంటంటే, మీరున్న ఈ టర్మ్లోనైనా తెలంగాణకు పూర్తిగా ఈ 5 విమానాశ్రయాలు ఇస్తే మేము చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంటాం, తెలంగాణ కూడా అభివృద్ధికి దోహదపడుతుందని చెప్పేసి. విద్యార్థులు అమెరికాకు పోయడానికి హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి మాత్రం చాలా ఎక్కువ మంది పోతున్నారు. ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ నుంచి కానీ హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి ఎక్కువ ప్రయాణికులు ఉన్నారు. కాబట్టి కొంచెం స్పెషల్గా నేను వారి మరొకసారి రిక్వెస్ట్ చేసేది ఏంటంటే, హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి అమెరికాకు సర్వీసులు ఫ్లైట్ సపరేట్గా వేయించాలని మనస్ఫూర్తిగా కోరుకుంటూ, వరంగల్ ఇచ్చినందుకు మిగతా వాటి కూడా ఇవ్వాలని చెప్పేసి మనస్ఫూర్తిగా మరొకసారి రామ్మోహన్ గారికి తగ్గించండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ. డాక్టర్ ఎం తంబిదురై. డాక్టర్ ఎం తంబిదురై నాట్ ప్రెజెంట్. Sri Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu ji to reply the discussion.
Honorable Deputy Chairman, sir, for giving me the opportunity. In fact, almost 16 members have spoken on this very important bill, the Protection of Interest in Aircraft Objects 2025. And this, the interest that has been shown by all the members, first of all, I'd like to thank them for giving all the suggestions and participating very intensely in the debates also. And there were discussions not only limiting us to the interests of the bill, but more than that. And I would like to say that this is the kind of passion that civil aviation is invoking in all the members of the parliament or also the citizens of this country today. And the kind of progress that we have seen in civil aviation in the last 10 years, definitely I'd like to put it on record that it was not an easy task. And it was not a job of one day that we have done this thing, and that is why we are seeing so much growth. But I can say this definitely, even though it is not a one day's job, but it was the mission of one man who is the Prime Minister of this country, Narendra Modi ji. From 2014, since he has become the Prime Minister of this country, the kind of support, the kind of vision with which he has encouraged and moved civil aviation in the country, we are able to grow so much, and we have now proudly say that we are the 3rd largest domestic civil aviation market in the whole world. And I would like to also put some numbers, and I keep saying this everywhere on every platform, including the parliament, while answering the questions and also when attending some important summits. One is in 2014, the total domestic passenger market that we had in the country, sir, is 60.7 million. 60.7 million domestic passenger market in 2014. And where we stand today in 2024, 161.3 million. More than double we are seeing passenger growth in this country. And if you add international passengers also, what was 43 million in 2014, we are now at 66.8 in 2024. Number of aircrafts in the country, around 359 used to operate in 2014. Now we have 840 aircrafts operating in the country, making 4,000 journeys across the country every single day. And you look at number of airports. Just now some members have also highlighted that number, which is 74. 74 airports in 2014 to a staggering number of 159 in 2025 and still counting. This is the kind of growth which no other country in the last 10 years would have witnessed. Many countries are similar to India in this financial stages. Some are having very similar conditions, but the kind of growth that India has seen is because of the vision and the mission of one man, that is our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, sir. And the year-on-year growth that civil aviation has seen, 9.7% CAGR. Many departments tried to achieve this growth, but this we can proudly say that civil aviation has achieved this kind of growth. And the mission behind the drive for our Prime Minister has also been one mantra, which is Hawai Chappal se Hawai Jahaj ka Safar. Many people have spoken about it. They might have different minds on why we are talking about it. But has that mantra ever been thought about before 2014? Why was it not spoken in such a way? Before 2014 also we had civil aviation in the country. We had planes moving in the country. We had aspirational citizens of the country who wanted to dream about flying in the airplane. But it was only after Narendra Modi ji has come into picture that he has envisioned that civil aviation shouldn't be an exclusive way of travel. It should be an inclusive way of travel. Everyone of the country should aspire to travel by air. And that is where this mantra has propelled the government to bring in many changes, to bring in many good schemes, so that we can bring the common man of this country, the ambitions, the aspirations, his dreams, just like how a flight takes off. Narendra Modi ji wanted to give the 140 crore people of this country the wings to fly, the wings for their dreams to fly in this country. And we have done that through the Udan scheme, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, a revolutionary scheme. In the last 10 years, I would like to once again say that what we have done with civil aviation, this NDA government, what it has done in the last 10 years for civil aviation, it was not just renovation. There were many airports in the country we wanted to renovate, increase the capacity. But it is not just renovation, but what NDA government has done for civil aviation is it brought in a revolution in the country for civil aviation, and that is what we have proudly done. And the revolution is through the airports, through the airlines. And it was a very challenging period also. A couple of big airlines have exited the industry. Go Air, Jet Airways, they've gone bankrupt. And on the other side, you have seen COVID, which has hit majorly the civil aviation industry. At one point of time, all hundreds of planes moving in the country have just been grounded. And even with these kind of challenges, I've just given you the numbers on how exponentially civil aviation has grown in this country. So the support that our Honorable Prime Minister has given through his vision, I would once again use the floor of the House to thank him for continuously encouraging. And in fact, you would see that two ministers, we are both sitting here, Minister for Civil Aviation and Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Muralidhar Moholji, who comes from Pune. We are both very young today. And the reason our Prime Minister has given us the responsibility of driving civil aviation is because he feels that civil aviation requires young blood today. And whatever growth we have seen in the last 10 years, it's still the beginning. We need new ideas. We need new ways of dealing with this. We need harmonization with the international standards. And it is with that approach, the government is trying to keep the momentum that we have achieved in civil aviation and continue to move it forward. And one other major challenge that we see is, which also many people talk about, is the airfares. And airfares is not just an issue where we have a one single point of approach by saying that if this is what we can do, we can bring the airfares down. Civil aviation is a global subject today. A plane flies from here. We do domestic travel, but we do international travel also. Flights travel from Delhi to New York. Flights travel from Mumbai to Australia. So it is a harmonization that is required across the international jurisdictions. And it was in 2001, when aircraft leasing business was also growing, That was when the international leasing industries, airlines, governments, everyone came together that we had to do something more so that we can harmonize the whole industry around civil aviation across all the countries. And this was an issue which was majorly faced by the leasing industries because the lessor was sitting in one country, the banking sector was sitting in the banking who was trying to facilitate the lease was sitting in another country. The airlines who wants to operate the airline is sitting in another country. And they all had multiple jurisdictions in their own countries trying to deal with this leasing business. And that became a challenge internationally for the airlines, for the industry, for the banking sector. So it was in 2001, the Cape Town Convention happened. And one of the reasons for this was just how to facilitate the leasing industry and bring all the countries on board and create a uniform legislation which everyone can follow. And there were three protocols which were discussed. One is regarding the space industry, one the railway industry, and the other one was the aircraft objects industry. And in 2001, the convention happened, the protocols were discussed, deliberated, and the protocols were also formulated. But India was not initially a signatory of this. 2001, everything happened. By 2005, the pressure was building up on India that they also had to assent to this protocol and convention because the leasing business was growing at that time. And I have to tell you, it is a very price-sensitive industry, civil aviation. Now, we all want more planes to come into the industry, more planes to fly in our skies, but every plane is very, very expensive. For you to purchase the plane yourself as a company, it puts a lot of financial stress on your own balance sheets. So which was why there was a lot of encouragement towards the leasing industry. And around this time, 90s and 2000s, lot of the nationalization which was happening with the air carriers, they were all becoming privatized. I have many countries like France, British Airways, which the government was holding before, they all were privatized. And once privatization happened, the way they wanted to operate was through leasing models. And now in 2005, pressure started building up. India at that time was thinking how to get this Cape Town Convention into effect in India also. And it took the opinion of the law ministry at that time. And the law ministry was with the idea that we don't need to have a separate bill for this, a separate act in the country, but let us go with ratifying it through the cabinet itself. In 2007, cabinet happened, it was ratified. India signed the papers, it sent the declaration to the International Civil Aviation Authority. And by 2008, things were in place, but we didn't have a legislation yet. It was just we were a signatory to the Cape Town Convention and the aircraft protocol. And we had a small mechanism within ourselves that, okay, we are agreed to have this kind of systems in India. And things started happening, leasing business grew. And in 2015, we have observed that there were some inconsistencies happening in the industry. 2015 SpiceJet, it had defaulted on a couple of lessors' payments at that time. So the lessors were very eager to get the money back. And they have this IDERA agreement, which actually gives them the right to take back the aircraft in case of any default of payments. But when they were trying to invoke the IDERA agreement, then the DGCA, which is the official authority to manage these kind of things, they were with the opinion that there was no legislation which was backing them to invoke the IDERA. So at that time, the easiest thing to do was to change the aircraft rules. So through the aircraft rules, DGCA was given the power to invoke the IDERA, and a temporary solution was formulated at that time. And in 2016, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code came into place, which was dealing with the insolvency and bankruptcy at a general blanket way of all the companies. And after that, in 2019, Jet Airways went bankrupt. But when Jet Airways went bankrupt and the NCLT wanted to put the moratorium, the lessors were a little bit aware of the picture, what might happen, and they invoked the IDERA and they took all the planes, deregistered them through the DGCA, and they took them back. So what could have been a very big problem at that time, because of the quick readiness of the lessors, we were able to avoid it. But still, the things were moving according to the rules and this just the general signatory that we have. And then Go Air also went bankrupt. When Go Air went bankrupt, the NCLT put a moratorium, and it said this time DGCA won't get the planes deregistered. So many of the planes which were supposed to be taken back by the lessors were sitting on the ground. They were not being able to maintain the aircrafts. So there was a general loss the industry had felt. Now, over all these examples that I've mentioned, what was observed by the industry, the airlines, the banks, everyone was that there was no proper legislation in the country. There were a lot of inconsistencies happening. There were a lot of interpretations from different people in a different way. So there was no common legislation which was dealing with the leasing industry. And what this whole thing has led to is that a drop of Cape Town Convention compliance index, which is being maintained by Aviation Working Group across the globe, where more than 400 stakeholders are part of it. And they maintain a score. And India's score went down to 50. Just to give an example on where we stand, Singapore has up to 92. US has around 90. So some of the countries who really regularly deal with this leasing industry, they try to maintain above 90. And we were suddenly dropped up to 50. Now, what this created was a ripple effect that once the score goes down, the leasing costs go up because nobody finds it more attractive to come to India and lease their planes. Now, if the leasing costs go up, if you want to lease more planes, it becomes more hard on you to lease these planes. And if you have more hardships in leasing these planes, you'll have less number of fleet operating, less number of fleet operating with the kind of demand we are setting on the other side in the country, more demand on these planes itself for having the passengers travel on them, and then the air prices also rise up. So everything is all interlinked with one and another step. So that is why the whole reason we are bringing this act is to give force of law to the Cape Town Convention and the protocol. So that is what, if you see the majority of the act also, other than giving it the force of law, it contains the Cape Town Convention, it contains the aircraft protocol, and the declaration which we are signing, abiding ourselves to both the convention and the protocol as a signatory to International Civil Aviation Organization. That is the major gist of this. And if you look at the airlines also, their comments on how they feel about how this leasing industry business is going on. Air India, upon the enactment of this legislation, we improve India's compliance score in the AWG's outlook, making Indian airlines eligible for CTC discount, which will significantly reduce leasing costs by approximately 8 to 10%. So once by getting this act into place, you're reducing the leasing cost by 8 to 10%. Now, these are the costs which are going to trickle down to the passenger and the airfares also. That is why this becomes very, very important for us. Indigo also. In absence of legislation, it might be possible that other lessors may reduce their exposure in India or increase their pricing further between another 5 to 10% over and above, and to the increase of 15%. They also have a very similar picture in mind. Akasa Air, in the absence of legislation, lease rates may increase by an additional USD of 15,000 per month, and SLB gains drop by an additional USD 1.5 million per aircraft over the already higher rates. So they all are indicating that if you don't have the legislation, you're basically paying high rates and you're at a disadvantage from the other countries. And this is the time when civil aviation is growing in India. You need to have proper legislations in place so that we can bring in more planes into the country. So this was the idea from the industry also, because one of the members asked how the industry is reacting, how the airlines are reacting to this legislation. So they are very eagerly waiting that as soon as we pass this bill here and in the Lok Sabha and becomes an act, they will be getting the advantage, and through which they can trickle down the advantage to the passengers of this country. And more than that, sir, I've talked about the AWG score also, which is up to 50 now. There is a slight improvement up to 62, but we are aiming to reach up to 90 so that the leasing business also flourishes. And also with the support of our Honorable Prime Minister, gift city, which was done in Gujarat, we also have a specific incentives that were given so that we can have the leasing industry in the country itself. Now, one, you can have the leasing industry outside where Ireland takes a very good advantage. Ireland has a very good leasing industry hub in the whole world. Dubai has also taken a certain lead in that industry. Singapore also has taken a certain lead in this industry. And now our Honorable Prime Minister has come to the thought that why shouldn't we have our own leasing industry? We are leasing so many planes every year. I've talked about 840 planes operating in our Indian skies. 86.4% of those planes are in the leasing model today. The airlines are preferring to go into the leasing model. Now, when they lease, they go to other countries and lease. Now, when you go to other countries and lease, there is a forex trading also happening. So they are losing out on that. The costs add up in the forex also come down basically onto the passenger. So our Prime Minister has thought we should have the leasing industry here. And based on that, many incentives have been given in the gift city, like exemption on income tax for the sale of equity shares of IFSC entities involved in aircraft leasing, subject to specific conditions, exemption of dividend income for units engaged in aircraft leasing at the IFSC, 100% tax holiday for first 10 years of operations. So many of these incentives have been clubbed together so that we can encourage the local industry to also cater for leasing business. And through this, we have done many significant strides also, sir. 33 aircraft leasing entities have been registered by January 31st, 2025, leasing 146 aviation assets, including 75 aircrafts and 71 engines. So we have made significant progress in this industry. But everywhere, when we talk about leasing in the Indian landscape, everyone was requesting that when are we going to have the legislation? Because no matter how far you travel down this road, always the roadblock that they seem to face, or the doubt, the confusion that they seem to arise, was because of not having the legal backing to this kind of legislation. So this is what we aim to bring through this act, sir. And many, both, we are not differentiating between Indian and foreign leasing companies, but this is going to definitely give a boost for the Indian leasing companies also, because the Indian leasing companies, just now Sanjay ji has also mentioned, for the Indian leasing companies, anyway, the whole backing comes from the banking industry. That's where the money comes from. And even for the banking industry, for them to see how to support this industry, because for them risk is also involved. And for them, it is important to have a legislation in place. Because unless without the legislation, they just can't be on the, just how the industry forms. And one other example, sir, the SARFAESI Act 2002, Securitization and Asset Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interests. This SARFAESI Act does not apply to aircrafts. So again, there was a need for some act to give that backing so that the banking industry feels that they can be a little more profitable in entering into the aircraft business. So the CTC bill, which is this bill, it is intended to give protection to security interests by which financiers, which are like the banks, will be comfortable in financing aviation assets also. So there is a multiple benefits that we are getting just by giving a legal force of law to the whole Cape Town Convention. And through this, we also see that the whole leasing industry is also going to increase. And there are a lot of requirement from the airline side also, just like I've mentioned, how they all want to improve the leasing business in the country, sir. And many different things which are dependent on the leasing, just like how the sale and leaseback model, which is another part of the leasing industry, how the airlines also, they are trying to purchase the aircraft first, and then they sell it, and then lease back from the same guy. And this is a model which our Indigo has been successfully operating today. And out of 397 aircrafts that they've bought, 350 have been put under the SLB model, where they've sold these 350 back to someone and then leased from there. So this also industry and the leasing processes that are gaining momentum, they all are needing this kind of act in place. And definitely this is going to give a lot of push to the whole civil aviation in the country. And on top of this, sir, many other questions have also been raised during the discussion of this by many of the members. And one important one is how does it deal with the inconsistencies with the insolvency and bankruptcy code, because that is the major relation this one has. Now, IBC code in general deals with the insolvency and bankruptcy of companies. They have the NCLT and they have a certain way of dealing with it. But now with aircrafts also coming into that ambit, it created a lot of confusion for the lessors who wanted to lease their this thing. Now, a simple way of explaining it, what was happening before, if not for the bill, now if you are trying to rent a house from an owner, and you are due to someone who you have to pay someone some kind of money. Now, if you are not paying the money, the person who you owe the money is going back to the owner of the house and asking him for the money. Now, this is a strange combination that has arisen because of the insolvency and bankruptcy code in respect to aircraft. So there was supposed to be some kind of clarity with the airline industry. And that is what we have brought in through the CTC bill. And this is going to create a lot of clarity on how the whole leasing industry should function. And also, especially when there is a problem of insolvency in the country regarding the airlines, then this bill can come into effect. And there is a period of 60 days, 2 calendar months, within which you can settle all the dues and the lessors can take their planes back, which is rightfully their owned. So it was very important to create that kind of differentiation between the insolvency and bankruptcy code and the Cape Town Convention, sir, and that is what we have done here. And how are the domestic laws protected under this bill? Sir, this bill gives force of law to international obligations of India arising from the accession of convention and protocol, like I've already said. And it has also been provided that the bill, in addition to the provisions of the bill, provide adequate protection to the existing domestic laws by overriding only such provisions which are inconsistent with the already acceded treaties. So it is not going into any domain which is not related to aircraft objects. Only when the aircraft objects come into place, only then this bill will come into effect. Now, insolvency and bankruptcy code deals with many bigger things. So we are not entering into all the things that insolvency and bankruptcy code deals with. We are only saying whenever there is an aircraft object coming into place, only then this bill is going to prevail, and this bill is going to look after the things on how to deal with the aircraft objects. And sir, how just now Jairamji has also asked about international and domestic lessors, that we have answered that there's no differentiation. Lessors is a lessor, and from our side, we want the domestic lessors also to come more and more. And this bill is going to give that kind of strong protection for the domestic lessors also, so that they can come into the industry. And how does it protect the smaller airlines? Now, just like I said, if the leasing industry improves, even for the smaller people running smaller aircraft, smaller airline operators, they also will find it more and more incentivized for them to lease planes. Without this, just with the compliance report very low, the CTC index very low, it becomes very hard for the smaller people also to lease any plane. Now with this, the smaller airlines can lease much higher number of planes, and then with the more number of planes, automatically gives a boost to both the airline operators and also the civil aviation market. Now, what is the role of DGCA in all of this? And through the bill only we have mentioned, sir, DGCA becomes the domestic registry. There is an international registry at the ICAO, and also domestic registry is going to be maintained by the central government, especially the division of DGCA. And now through the bill, we have also created a provision that all the airline operators regularly have to intimate the DGCA on how many dues are still pending with what kind of lessors on plane basis, not just overall from the airline point of view, but plane by plane, whatever anyone is leasing from any lessor, they have to periodically intimate the DGCA. They have to keep a list of all the dues they have with all the lessors. That registry is going to be maintained. And even for the lessors, they have to also continuously intimate about the activity that they are doing in the country also, sir. So this will create a lot of security for both the lessors and the lessees and the overall aviation market also, because there has been a lot of confusion in this area. It has been a gray area for some time. And now with the bringing of this bill, definitely it is going to create a lot more clarity. And we hope this is going to give a lot of push for the leasing industry, which is the need of the hour. There is an immediate need for this bill to be there in the industry, sir. And it is with this speed that we wanted to bring it. And I'm very happy that many of the members who have spoken of this bill understand the seriousness of this, and they have supported it. And there have been many members who have taken the opportunity of this bill to talk about some local issues, some of their airport issues, some of the connectivity issues also. And it is very difficult to answer each and every person individually, but I'd like to mention some states. One was Bihar, which they have mentioned about not having an international airport other than Gaya International Airport. I'll come to some of the states. Bihar has a very peculiar situation, sir. Bihar has Patna. In the capital city, there are two airports at present. One is the Patna airport and also Beta airport, which we are trying to develop, which is a civil enclave. It's an Air Force airport, and we have taken some land and we want to develop. But even though they both will be operating, we can't do international planes because of the fixed runway length that is there. We can't do wide body aircrafts there, which is why, in the interest of the Bihar,
Please,
in the interest of Bihar and the citizens there, we want to create an international airport. And I would like to thank the Honorable Finance Minister for specifically mentioning it in the budget that we will be creating an international airport near Patna in Bihar. And from our side, civil aviation side, we are looking at all the possible locations, and we'll choose one of the best location, which is near Patna, and from where international planes can fly from the city of Patna. And that is the intention with which we are looking at.
Please,
For
please,
Darbhanga, I'll come
please
to all the
take your
states.
seat.
Just
No,
give me some
please.
time. I'll come to all the states. I know this is the most interesting aspect, sir. The bill is there, definitely,
Yes.
but the aspirations is for the local demand in the local airports. And other than this, the Darbhanga airport we are developing with a cost of more than 1,400 crores we have put in. The work is going on. Purnia airport also we are developing right now, sir. There has been a cooperation from the state government in respect to land that is required. We are presently constructing it. And by August or September, we see that the terminal is going to finish, and definitely we are going to start operations from Purnia airport also. And we have already started building also. And then we have other airports, sir. Let me take the state of Telangana now. Telangana, we have taken a historical decision of granting permission, site clearance also for in principle approval for airport in Warangal, sir. Warangal used to be one of the biggest airports in the country pre-independence era. And after some time, there used to be Vaidut Airlines also, which was flying from there. But because of lot of different reasons, the airport stopped functioning in 1980s sometime. And since then, there has been a strong demand from the locals there to start the airport. And now, with the support of state government, with the proper vision of the central government, we were able to grant the site clearance. And very soon, we are going to start the work in Warangal airport also. And we plan on building one of the best airports in the country in Warangal also, sir. And the Telangana government also has a demand for many other areas. And with the cooperation and support from the state government, we are going to see if we get the required piece of land in the required area, that definitely all the other areas also, sir, we'll definitely look into it. And also the state of Kerala, I'm coming to you, sir. Kerala, one Kannur airport, right from Chief Minister to members here, both Lok Sabha, Rajyasabha, they've been asking for point of call from that airport. Kerala is the only state where they have 3 airports which already have point of call. One is the Trivandrum, Kochi, and Calicut. And properly flights are going international, and some domestic also are flying from Kannur airport also, sir. Point of call, definitely there are money requests from across the country also. We need to have a balanced approach for all the other states. So definitely we will look into it, but it has to be a balanced approach considering all states. The only thing that the government has here, and I'll be very honest and open with you, sir, 2 things is, one, we want to have our own Indian airports to function as hubs. Now you see in the Gulf, Singapore, Turkey and all these countries, they are trying to grow their own airports at the cost of our Indian airports, because they are trying to take the passenger traffic from here, take them to their own countries, and from there they are trying to connect to the whole world. What we want to see is India have its own hubs in the country itself, so that they can also flourish. Now we are at a strategical location for the East and the West, where people from the West can use India as the hub. Now, unless we try to improve the hub situation in the country, You can't be able to facilitate for that. And if you start diverting our traffic to all other areas, then it becomes very difficult for our Indian airports to grow at that stage. And the second thing is we want to protect the Indian carriers who are operating from India, sir. So we have an obligation that we want to improve the Indian carriers also. So it is with these two situations. It is
Mr.
with
Wilson,
these two situations that we need to have a very balanced approach when we think about giving a point of call for a new destination. But I agree to the demand because this is a demand which has been there across the country.
Mr. Rahim,
And
take
we
it,
are
please.
we are going to see what best we can do. And we have done a lot for the state of Kerala also, sir, and we'll continuously keep doing so. Our support for Kerala is continuously going to be there from the Ministry of Civil Aviation. We want all the airports to grow. And one challenge, what the Hajj that has been done, which has been mentioned, sir, the Hajj, every year there is a tender by the Ministry of Minority Affairs from all the airports on how many people need to be carried to the Hajj. And now what happened here is the tender, the bidding which was happened is at that level. It's a very transparent and accountable way of dealing with this Hajj thing. And that is how the bidders came in. That is how the bidders came in, and it was through the process how they were selected. But one interesting thing, Calicut, the runway we are trying to extend. Once the runway is extended, then you can have the wide body aircrafts also there today, and we'll get back to the situation before. Because of one incident which happened at the Calicut airport, we didn't want the tabletop airport to be there like that. We wanted to extend the runway, and the ministry is continuously reviewing the situation, and we want to get the work done as soon as possible, which is going to improve the airport situation in Calicut also. And other than that, Bhubaneswar, our people from Odisha have also requested for many other airports. Many other airports have also been mentioned. Sir, all the airports, whatever we are getting requests, sir, we are thoroughly assessing. The only thing is we see the feasibility, economic feasibility, and also the technical feasibility of the land, and then we start moving in, sir. And now I've told already that from 74 we have moved on to 159. And only because of the support that Ministry of Civil Aviation is able to give, we have been able to increase. We are not restricting people from not having airports, but definitely the support has to come from the state government also in starting to provide the land. And now today we are also seeing that the major cities like Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, all these require second airports, sir. We have come to that stage where all the metropolitan cities are getting saturated and require new airports. Now Mumbai, the existing airport is there, Santa Cruz, and now we are building Navi Mumbai Airport. Now Delhi, including the ICI airport, we have Jewar International Airport, which is going to come up. Now Bangalore has already been discussing for new airport in Bangalore. The state government is proactively moving in selecting some sites for that. And on top of that, sir,
Please take your seat.
Bhubaneswar is also trying to have an additional airport in Puri. So they have selected some land and they are trying to move in Puri. Chennai also, Parandur Airport is also coming up. Now Calcutta, West Bengal, I would like to make a request that Calcutta Airport also needs another one right now, being a metropolitan city and a very important city in the country. So the state government should look at having an alternate airport, a second airport which caters for the city of Calcutta, because that is very much required today. Unless you start moving into that direction today, unless you start providing that land, it becomes very difficult in the future. So like just how other metropolitan cities are moving in that direction, I would request states and the governments there to thoroughly look at this. This is a requirement not just for today, but the future also. And I would use this forum to request through the members to their respective states to definitely support the idea of creating more airports. And sir, we are with the idea that in the next 5 years, we can build 50 more airports. And I would also like to thank the Honorable Finance Minister. Udan scheme, what has been there for 10 years from 2016 to 2026, because of the way it has revolutionized and democratized air travel in the country, we have extended the scheme for another 10 years. So from 2026 to 2036, we are going to see an expanded Udan scheme through which we want to build 120 new destinations in the country. And we want to make 4 crore people travel under the Udan scheme, which is going to be much more access, which is going to give much more access to the citizens of this country. So we have grand plans coming in the future also. And to achieve this, we require the support of the state governments also in providing the land, in trying to acquire the land. So if the states can be proactive in this area, then definitely from the central government and the Ministry of Civil Aviation, we will provide all the necessary support. We don't see any politics in this area. We just want the country to thrive. We just want the country to become the #1 in civil aviation, not just in terms of hub and connectivity, but also in giving accessible, comfortable, and convenient travel to the passengers also. And one initiative we have started under the UDAN scheme, sir, we have connected the unserved and underserved airports of this country, where there were no flights traveling at all. There was a challenge on how to connect these airports, and it was through that vision the UDAN scheme came into place. And after UDAN scheme came into place, we have started more than 642 routes in this country where no planes were operating. No planes were trying to take up those routes. But through the viability gap funding under UDAN scheme and developing of those airports and creating that infrastructure so that people and planes can move from that area, we have been able to start 600 more routes in that selected this thing. And now we have taken certain inspiration from UDAN scheme also. Now you may agree or not agree, some people in this house, but after the involvement of the UDAN scheme, lot of the lower middle class and a lot of the people who are migrant laborers working in different countries, they have all started to use air travel. What used to be a travel by train, they are starting to use. And now there has been a lot of debate on the prices in the airports also, on how. And taking inspiration from the UDAN scheme, we have started UDAN Yatri Cafe in the airports also, where water bottle we are providing for 10 rupees, tea, coffee for 20 rupees, samosa for 20 rupees. This is the first kind of initiative, and I don't think even the railways will have these kind of prices what airports are trying to give today. We have started in Kolkata, which is doing record number of sales. We have started in Chennai. We have started in Ahmedabad. We are starting in 8 more airports, and we want to do it in each and every airport of this country. Each and every airport of this country, we want to have a stall where at least if someone wants to buy something, he doesn't feel that I can't have anything here. We want to create, at least, even though airports are supposed to be facilitating for the travel, we are ensuring that at least in this sense, we have to make sure that he doesn't go hungry at the airport. And we are creating these UDAN Yatri cafes, which has been successfully done in the initiative. And in the future, we are going to make it possible in all these things. And when it comes to airfare, I know it is a very contentious topic of discussion for all the members. I already told you that when it comes to airfares, it is a work in progress and a lot of things need to come into place. If you try to break up the airfare itself, there will be hundreds of things which try to affect the airfares, right from the fuel prices, right from the kind of leasing charges that are taken and the MRO costs that are involved and the kind of people that get involved in maintaining the aircraft. So many things are there. So capping the airfares and trying to have a one-stop approach is not followed by any country. We are trying to follow what the market dynamic fare pricing, and definitely inside that, if there is anything which malpractices are there or misusing or misutilization or taking advantage of the market is there, definitely the Ministry of Civil Aviation is going to take necessary actions. We are going to ensure those kind of situations doesn't arise, but to create a balance between the industry and between having the planes run, having the airlines also run in the country and providing those connections, it is important for us to have a balanced approach in all of this, sir. And you've seen that all the airlines, if you look at their financials, all of them, except for Indigo, all of them are in negative right now, their balance sheets. So it is important to see that the airlines also perform. If you take out one airline, let us say if you make it non-viable for one airline, if they go bankrupt, and if 200 of their planes don't perform in the country, and how many cities get disconnected now? How many of the routes don't get facilitated now? So it is important for us to think on a long term and try to see how collectively we can grow so that the airfares are also reasonable, the air travel continuously grows, and also the industry creates a lot of job creation for the youth who are very passionate about civil aviation in the country. And I would once again, on behalf of myself and the MOS, Muralidhar Mohalji, would like to request the House in their full-fledged support in this, sir. And I would also like to, because ex-Prime Minister Deve Gowda ji, sir, for Hassan Airport,
this is not proper.
For Hassan Airport, we are continuously trying to push it from our side, sir. State government needs to also step up in that area, and we are trying to do our best so that we can complete it on time. So I just wanted to give these remarks to the Honorable ex-Prime Minister. With this, I would like to ask for each and everyone's support in this bill, sir. This is a very important bill which the industry needs today, and everyone, each and everyone from the industry is going to appreciate the way this is going to change the aviation landscape in the country. So once again, I would like to sincerely request for the support. With these words, I would like to...
थैंक यू। माननीय मंत्री जी का जवाब बिल पे खत्म हुआ। आगे बढ़े इसके पहले माननीय एलओपी का कोई सजेशन है या क्वेरी है? प्लीज माननीय एलओपी।
सर, इससे संबंधित तो नहीं है इस बिल से, लेकिन मिनिस्टर सविस्तार से उत्तर दिए जिसमें हासन का जिक्र किया गया और दूसरे जगह का चेन्नई सब जगह का जिक्र किया गया। उनको मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं, लेकिन जिस जगह एयरपोर्ट बनाया गया है उस जगह फ्लाइट्स नहीं है। अब आपको मैं ये उदाहरण देना चाहता हूं, शायद इतने लोगों में या जितने भी एमपीज हो और जितने भी राज्यसभा के मेंबर्स हो, शायद अपने मत क्षेत्र में कोशिश करके सरकारी लैंड नहीं, सब मिलके 1-1 लाख रुपए डालकर 1000 एकड़ जमीन सरकार उनको हैंडओवर करी, 1000। फिर उसके बाद उन्होंने रनवे नहीं बना सके, तो हमने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से फंड लेकर रनवे बना दिया। फिर उसके बाद उन्होंने इवन बिल्डिंग बनाने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे, बिल्डिंग बनाने के लिए हमने मदद की, बिल्डिंग भी बन गई। फिर लाइटिंग का इंतजाम नहीं था, लाइटिंग का इंतजाम भी करवा दिए। फिर मनरेगा में हमने कंपाउंड डाल के भी दिया, क्योंकि लोगों को काम भी होता है और वहां के एयरपोर्ट को एक सुरक्षा भी मिलती है। ये सब हमने करके दी। देने के बावजूद एक आदमी को उन्होंने एक कोई स्टेयर एयरलाइन क्या कुछ तो एक है, 3 दिन को एक बार आता है, फिर बाद में गायब हो जाता है। और वो है कि क्या बोलते गुटखा ओनर। हाँ, अगर ऐसे लोगों को देखकर हमारे पास पहले, खैर हम लोग जब रिक्वेस्ट किए, प्राइम मिनिस्टर को भी लेटर लिखा, मैं नायडू साहब को भी लेटर लिखा, ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया को भी लेटर लिखा। मैं 4 साल से कोशिश कर रहा हूं कि ये क्या मेरे से दुश्मनी है, मुझे मालूम नहीं है, लेकिन ये सब
बताएं माननीय मंत्री।
नहीं, सुनिए आप, इंटरेस्टिंग, लॉन्गेस्ट एयरपोर्ट इन कर्नाटका आफ्टर बेंगलोर, आप देखिए, लॉन्गेस्ट। इसीलिए खुद प्रधानमंत्री जी 2 बार कलबुर्गी उतरे, गुलबर्गा, इसीलिए कि वो बिगेस्ट लेंथीएस्ट रनवे है। वहां से वो सोलापुर गए, वहां से वो लातूर गए, वहां से वो बीदर गए। ऐसा फैसिलिटी देते हुए सब अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन, इतना रहते हुए भी मुझे शर्म आती है। जो लोग लैंड दिए, जो लोग मदद करे,
धन्यवाद।
मुझे नहीं, 1 मिनट, ऐसा नहीं, मैं गलत तो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ।
आपने
और दिस इज ए पब्लिक कंट्रीब्यूशन।
जी।
और वहाँ एरिया के लोगों का सब कंट्रीब्यूशन बोर्ड में बैठ के भी तय किए, लेकिन मैं उनको हमेशा लिख रहा हूँ, इनको ही नहीं, इनसे पहले लोगों को भी लिखा। बेंगलुरु से कलबुर्गी एक डेली पहले यही गुटखा वाले का था, वो वहां से यूपी से निकलता था, वो बंद हो गया। और इधर उधर हमने कहा कि अब मेन
हो गया। अरे जी विस्तार से आपने बता दिया।
नहीं, सुनो
जी।
देखो साहब, मैं आपको कोई झूठ बोल रहा हूँ,
विस्तार से बता दिया
नहीं, उनको बताऊंगा।
हाँ।
हमने क्या किया इस सब्जेक्ट पे, आपने तो बनाने के लिए बोल रहे आप एक्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर को तो खुश कर दिया आप
जी जी
कि वहां पर हासन में आ जाएगा। उन्होंने प्राइम मिनिस्टर रह के नहीं कर लिए, चीफ मिनिस्टर रह के कर लिए नहीं, अब उनके पीछे गिर रहे आप, मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा। और मैं यहाँ पुकार रहा हूँ।
धन्यवाद माननीय धन्यवाद
मैं यहाँ
धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी, धन्यवाद। अब आपने बता लिया विस्तार से जी जी जी। आगे आगे
आपका रूल है,
बताया
जब कभी भी अपोजिशन लीडर उठ के बात करता है तो उसको देना चाहिए। क्या मैं गलत बात कर रहा हूँ?
आपने बता दिया, आपने बता दिया।
देखिए साहब, वहाँ क्या क्या इंस्टीट्यूशंस है, किस लिए हमने डिमांड किया। वहाँ सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी है, वहां पर ईएसआई के मेडिकल कॉलेज और पैरामेडिकल कॉलेज, नर्सिंग कॉलेज और डेंटल कॉलेज, इतने कॉलेजेस है।
धन्यवाद।
गवर्नमेंट के 3 कॉलेज है।
धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी।
नहीं, मैं देखिए, आप अगर बोलने नहीं देते तो मैं, अरे हाई उसी छोटे जगह में हमने हाई कोर्ट बनाया और हाई कोर्ट के 4 जजेस बेंगलुरु से आते जाते, और इसके अलावा भी
प्लीज प्लीज प्लीज।
अरे रिप्लाई तो हो गया ना,
बता लिया माननीय लोपी, बता
नहीं ठीक। देखिए अगर देखिए
आपने बता लिया
उपाध्यक्ष जी, अगर आप नहीं चाहते सुनना,
आपने पूरा बता लिया। अब नई बहस सुनेंगे
मुझे, अरे बता तो दिया
जी,
लेकिन हो रहा क्या?
प्लीज ठीक। माननीय मंत्री जी, माननीय मंत्री
सर, सीनियर मेंबर खड़गे जी ने जिक्र किया ये कलबुर्गी एयरपोर्ट का, पर जिस तरीके से पैशनेटली उन्होंने उसके बारे में बोला, मैं कहना चाहता हूं सर, देश में जो 150 एयरपोर्ट्स बने, सभी में सभी का योगदान था सर। हर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने उतने पैशनेट के साथ ही वो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने दिया। ऐसे नहीं है कि यहाँ पे कुछ अलग ज्यादा कुछ हुआ है सर, हर जगह पे everywhere people have donated their land, state governments have come into picture, they have taken that airport building very very seriously, and with everyone's cooperation only we have built, and it is not just one government or one person doing anything everywhere. So definitely we have received the request sir, and we are trying to do our best. We speak to the airlines, and not just connectivity from here. Every now and then, every member in the house, outside the house, when they meet me, their whole aspirations is to get their place connected. Now, this is the way India is operating today, that we have these airports located at all these locations. Now, there are no planes, not that much as much we can cater for the demand today. So definitely, to cater for the demand, we need more number of planes. And we are continuously discussing with the airlines to give better connectivity where the demand is there. And definitely Kalburgi also, sir, I'll put into the word. And we are trying to facilitate the connection. And we were talking about ex-Prime Minister, उनका भी mention इसलिए किया सर, वो state government का, आप थोड़ा सहायता दीजिए सर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से बात करके हसन कंप्लीट करने में। अभी आप गुलबर्गा की बात कर रहे थे, उसमें सहायता दे दीजिए सर
प्लीज। थैंक यू। द क्वेश्चन
इसका भी थोड़ा कर दीजिए
प्लीज। द डिस्कशन इज ओवर। द क्वेश्चन इज दैट द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इन एयरक्राफ्ट ऑब्जेक्ट्स बिल 2025 बी टेकन टू कंसिडरेशन। दोज इन फेवर विल प्लीज से आई, दोज अगेंस्ट विल प्लीज से नो। I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We shall now take up clause by clause consideration of the bill. Clauses 2 to 5 stand part of the bill. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clauses 2 to 5 are adopted. Clause 6 stands part of the bill. There is one amendment. Number 2 by Dr. John Britas. Are you moving the amendment? Not present. I shall now put the clause 6 to vote. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 6 is adopted. Insertion of new clause 6A. There is one amendment for insertion of new clause 6A. Number 5, Dr. B. Sivadasan. Are you moving?
Yes, sir. I like to move.
So amendment moved. Those in favor will please say aye. Those in favor will please say aye. Manoj Haji, please, let me read it. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the noes have it, the noes have it, the noes have it. The amendment is negative. Clauses 7 to 9 stand part of the bill. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clauses 7 to 9 are adopted. Clause 10 stands part of the bill. There is one amendment, number 3 by Dr. John Britas. Not present. I shall now put the clause 10 to vote. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 10 is adopted. Clauses 11 stands part of the bill. There are 2 amendments. Number 1 by Sri A. Rahim. Are you moving it?
Sir, I am moving the amendment.
Okay. Number 4 by Dr. John Britas. Not present. So amendment moved. I shall first put the amendment moved by Sri A. Rahim to vote. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the noes have it, the noes have it, the noes have it. The amendment is negative. John Britas absent. I shall now put the clause 11 to vote. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 1 is adopted. Clause 12, the first schedule, the second schedule, and the third schedule stand part of the bill. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 12, the first schedule, the second schedule, and the third schedule are adopted. Clause 1, the enacting formula and the title stand part of the bill. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 1, the enacting formula and the title are adopted. Sri Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu to move that the bill be passed.
Sir, I move that the bill be passed.
Motion moved that the bill be passed. The question is that the bill be passed. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against will please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The bill is passed. Now the Tribhuvan Sehkari University Bill 2025. Sri Murlidhar Mohol to move a motion for consideration of the Tribhuvan Sehkari University Bill 2025. अनेक कैबिनेट मंत्री
माननीय उपसभापति महोदय,
प्लीज
माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, श्री अमित शाह जी की ओर से प्रस्ताव करता हूं कि इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ रूरल मैनेजमेंट आनंद त्रिभुवन सहकारी यूनिवर्सिटी के रूप में ज्ञात विश्वविद्यालय की स्थापना करने और उसे राष्ट्रीय महत्व की संस्थान घोषित करने तथा उसके आनुषंगिक विषयों वाले विधेयक पर लोकसभा द्वारा पारित रूप में विचार किया जाए।
आप इस बिल पे कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे? बाद
रिप्लाई।
Motion moved. I shall now call upon the members whose names have been received for participation in the discussion. माननीय श्री दिग्विजय सिंह।
धन्यवाद माननीय उपसभापति महोदय। हम चाहते थे कि माननीय गृह मंत्री जी यहां उपस्थित रहे, क्योंकि उन्हीं के राज्य का ये मसला है और उन्हीं के विवेक और उन्हीं के सुझाव पर शायद ये मंत्रालय कृषि विभाग से लेकर गृह विभाग को सौंपा गया है। हम माननीय मंत्री जी और सरकार के आभारी हैं। आपने इस सहकारी विश्वविद्यालय का जो बिल है,
प्लीज शांति बनाए रखें प्लीज।
उसका नामकरण एक ऐसे वरिष्ठ तत्कालीन सहकारिता के कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता आदरणीय श्री त्रिभुवन दास जी पटेल के नाम से रखा है, जिन्होंने कि सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल की प्रेरणा से और वी कुरियन साहब के सहयोग से इस देश में श्वेत क्रांति की अगुवाई की
2014 के पहले,
और ये सब माननीय सभापति महोदय 2014 के पहले का मैं जिक्र कर रहा हूं। उसके बाद क्या हुआ है उसकी जानकारी शायद मंत्री जी देंगे। माननीय लोकतंत्र में सरकार की नीयत उसकी नीति, नियम और कानून जो बनाते हैं उस पर झलकती है। इस पूरे 11-12 साल के इनके कार्यकाल में 3 बिंदु साफ झलकते हैं। एक, हर नीति में, नियम में, कानून में इनकी नीयत झलकती है पूंजीवादी व्यवस्था के पक्ष में। दूसरा, इनकी नीयत झलकती है सत्ता के केंद्रीकरण में, राज्यों के अधिकारों को हथियाने में। और तीसरी, माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, आप जानते हैं हर बात में सांप्रदायिक कटुता फैलाकर वे अपनी नीयत प्रदर्शित करते हैं। माननीय उपसभापति महोदय, गुजरात के ग्राम कैरा में वहां के दूध उत्पादकों ने आंदोलन किया। उस समय पोल्सन बटर के लिए दूध वहां से ले जाया जाता था और किसानों ने आंदोलन किया कि आप कम भाव में दूध लेते हैं और महंगा मुंबई मिल्क स्कीम को बेचते हैं। ये सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के पास आए। सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल जी ने उनसे कहा कि दूध सहकारी समिति का गठन करो और मोरारजी भाई देसाई को कहा कि आप इनका सहयोग करो। और वर्ष 1946 में अमूल सहकारी समिति प्रारंभ हुई। माननीय, ये एक ऐसा उदाहरण है जहां प्रोड्यूसर और कंज्यूमर के बीच की जो खाई है वो पाटता है। सामान्य तौर पर आज के व्यवस्था में किसान को उनकी उपज का केवल 30-40% ही मिल पाता है बिचौलिए और प्रोसेसिंग के बाद। लेकिन अमूल एक ऐसी संस्था है जिसका 80% जो भाव उत्पाद उपभोक्ताओं से आता है वो किसानों के पास जाता है। यही शक्ति है सहकारिता की और इसमें यही कारण है जिसकी वजह से हमारे भारतीय संविधान की आर्टिकल 2043 में संविधान में सहकारिता पर पूरा एक आर्टिकल रखा गया। सरदार पटेल ने कहा था, I know of no other instrument so potentially powerful and full of social purpose as the cooperative movement. मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं सभापति महोदय कि सरदार पटेल ने कहा था कि सहकारिता केवल आर्थिक गतिविधि नहीं है, वह एक अलग प्रकार की जीवन शैली है, एकता की, न्याय की और समरसता की। और इसी सहकारिता को उन्होंने कहा था कि ये भारत को शक्तिशाली बनाएगा और अखंड रहेगा और आर्थिक और सामाजिक विकास के माध्यम से इसे आगे बढ़ाएगा। इसीलिए संविधान में इसे राज्यों की सूची में रखा गया। देखने में आ रहा है माननीय सभापति जी कि लगातार राज्यों के अधिकारी, हमारा राज्यों का हाउस है और इस राज्यों के हाउस में लगातार राज्यों के अधिकार को धीरे धीरे कम किए जा रहे हैं। मैं तो कहता हूं, मंत्री जी यहां है नहीं, अगर अमित शाह जी आपको सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के रूप में एक दूसरा सरदार गुजरात का बनना है तो आप कम से कम उनके विचारों को अंगीकार करिए। सहकारिता के माध्यम से, जनता के, किसानों के माध्यम से, उपभोक्ताओं के माध्यम से और जी मैं वही कह रहा हूं कि साहब आपको करना है तो उसका पालन करिए उनके विचारों का, लेकिन इन्होंने राज्यों का अधिकार छीना है। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं सभापति जी कि आज केंद्र सरकार ने सहकारी मंत्रालय बनाया। पूर्व में यह मंत्रालय कृषि विभाग के साथ था। हमेशा एग्रीकल्चर कोऑपरेटिव मिनिस्ट्री हुआ करती थी, लेकिन किस उद्देश्य के साथ और किस मंशा के साथ माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने सहकारिता को अलग किया और सहकारिता को कृषि से अलग करके गृह मंत्रालय के साथ जोड़ा, ये क्या राज छिपा है मैं कह नहीं सकता। आज इस मामले में मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि इसमें क्या राज छुपा है, तो जोशी जी आप पता नहीं लगा पाओगे, ये गुजरात का मामला है। मैं अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि आज आप देख रहे हैं आई एम नॉट यील्डिंग, इस बिल के माध्यम से कोऑपरेटिव का कॉर्पोरेटाइजेशन हो रहा है, यानी कि कोऑपरेटिव जो मिनिस्ट्री है और कोऑपरेटिव सहकारिता जो है वो सहकारिता किसान और मजदूरों के हाथ से निकालकर उसे उद्योगपतियों के हाथ में सौंपने का षड्यंत्र है। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं, भारत और विश्व स्तर पर सहकारिता आंदोलन हमेशा से समाजवादी विचारधारा उसमें निहित रही है। यह श्रमिक केंद्रित आंदोलन रहा है और श्रमिकों के नेतृत्व में चलता है। इसमें कैपिटलिज्म, कॉरपोरेट्स और सहकारिता में यही अंतर है। कैपिटलिज्म में कॉरपोरेट्स जो है पूंजी से मजदूर लेते हैं और यही सहकारिता मजदूरों से पूंजी इकट्ठी की जाकर मजदूरों को उसका हक दिया जाता है। यही फर्क है कॉरपोरेट और कोऑपरेटिव के बीच में। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं, हमारे संविधान में कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज में हर 5वें साल चुनाव होना चाहिए। 6 महीने से उससे एक्सटेंशन के बाद किसी हालत में उन्हें चुनाव कराना आवश्यक है। लेकिन आप देख रहे हैं, मुझे मालूम है अनेक प्रदेशों में जहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी की डबल इंजन सरकारें हैं, सहकारी समितियों के चुनाव नहीं कराए जाते और प्रशासक नियुक्त किया जाता है। प्रशासक के माध्यम से वे सहकारी समितियों में जैसा चाहते हैं वैसा मन माना वे निर्णय कराते हैं। मैं और की बात तो नहीं जानता ज्यादा, लेकिन मध्य प्रदेश के बारे में कहना चाहता हूं। मध्य प्रदेश में 4536 पैक्स हैं, प्राथमिक सहकारी समितियां हैं। उनमें से 3800 यानी कि 80% जो प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चर सोसाइटीज हैं वे पूरी तरह से आज ओवरड्यू हो चुकी हैं, भारी घाटे में है और वहां के चुनाव भी नहीं हो रहे। इसी प्रकार 38 जिला सहकारी बैंक में से लगभग 13 जिला सहकारी बैंक की हालत यह है कि वे 2000 रुपए भी अपने सदस्यों को नहीं दे सकते। इसी प्रकार घोटालों का अंबार है। शिवपुरी जिला सहकारी बैंक में 100 करोड़ का गबन हुआ, कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। इसी प्रकार ग्वालियर में 25 करोड़ गबन हुआ, कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। यही नहीं है माननीय सभापति महोदय, अनेक सहकारी संस्थाओं में 20 साल से सहकारी समिति के चुनाव नहीं हुए और प्रशासक को बैठा रखा है। ये माननीय मंत्री जी, इस बारे में आप कम से कम जोशी जी, गृह मंत्री जी को इतना बता दीजिए, अरे सहकारिता मंत्री जी को बता दीजिए कि कृपया आप सहकारिता के मंत्री हैं तो कम से कम राज्यों में क्या सहकारिता की हालत है पता लगा लीजिए। अब 5 साल में चुनाव होना चाहिए, संविधान में प्रावधान है, लेकिन मध्य प्रदेश की डबल इंजन सरकार ने उसमें भी कानून परिवर्तन करके कह दिया कि नहीं, चुनाव ना हो तो ना हो, अनंत काल तक चुनाव स्थगित करने का अधिकार दे दिया और अनंत काल तक प्रशासक को बैठने का अधिकार दे दिया। ये है सहकारिता के हालात इस देश में। माननीय सहकारिता मंत्री अमित शाह जी जो सरदार पटेल का एक दूसरा रूप बनना चाहते हैं। माननीय सभापति महोदय, इसी तरह से मैं कहना चाहता हूं, कोऑपरेटिव एपेक्स बैंक मध्य प्रदेश का, वहां के प्रबंध संचालक पर गबन की शिकायत हुई। 12 बार संचालक पर गबन की शिकायत हुई। 12 बार संचालक पर गबन की शिकायत हुई। 12 बार